Gospel of Matthew this morning, chapter 20. So somebody said that a mother is an unskilled laborer, but somebody never tried to give a squirmy infant a bath. Somebody said it takes about 6 weeks to get back to normal after you've given birth to a baby. Somebody doesn't know that once you're a mother, normal is history. Somebody said that being a mother is boring, but somebody never rode in a car being driven by a teenager with a permit. Somebody said you don't need an education to be a mother. Somebody never tried to help a fourth grader with math. Somebody said you can't love the second child as much as you love the first child. Or somebody never had more than one child. Somebody said you just know how to be a mother by instinct. Well, somebody never took a 3-year-old shopping. Somebody said good mothers never yell at the kids. Somebody's child never sent a baseball through their neighbor's window. Somebody said a mother can stop worrying after her last child gets married. Somebody doesn't know that marriage adds a new son-in-law or daughter-in-law to a mother's heartstrings. Somebody said a mother's job is done when the last child leaves home. Somebody never had grandchildren. Somebody said your mother knows you love her, so you don't have to tell her. Somebody's not a mother. Mothers are teachers. Thomas Edison went to school, had a real problem in school. Teacher sent Thomas Edison home, and with a note to the mother of Thomas Edison, it said, your child, your son is difficult, your son can't learn, your son, you can't do anything for him, your child is dumb. And Mrs. Edison wrote back and said, you do not understand, my boy, I will teach him myself. And she did. With results that are well known, Thomas Edison invented a light bulb, and 1,000 other things are patented in his name. Mothers are disciplinarians, mothers are cleaning ladies, some mothers are gardeners and mowers of lawns, and mothers understand that baking cookies is more important than washing windows. The child was a typical 4-year-old girl, cute, inquisitive, bright as could be. When she expressed difficulty in understanding the concept of marriage, her dad sat her down and opened the album, the wedding album, and started showing her the pictures of the church, the pictures of the bride coming into the church, the pictures of the ceremony, the pictures of the reception, the pictures of the recessional, the whole day. And he says to his little daughter, now do you understand? She said, I think so. Is this when Mommy came to work for us? Mothers are nurses, mothers are doctors, mothers are psychologists, mothers are chauffeurs. Mothers are developers of personalities, molders of vocabularies, shapers of ideas and attitudes. Mothers are soft voices saying, I love you. Mothers are a child's first link and glimpse at the personality of God. The first impression of God's love comes from a mother. Mothers are all these things and much, much, much more. Abraham Lincoln said, no man is poor who has had a godly mother. An old Spanish proverb says that an ounce of mother is worth a ton of priest. And maybe with some of these things in mind, as we read the lesson this morning from Matthew 20, we can understand Mrs. Zebedee, the mother of James and John, 2 of the disciples of Jesus. So Matthew chapter 20, verse 20. We read these words. Then the mother of the sons of Zebedee came to Jesus with her sons, bowing down and making a request of him. And he said to her, "What do you wish?" And she said to him, "Command that in your kingdom, these two sons of mine may sit one on your right and one on your left." But Jesus answered, "You do not know what you are asking. Are you able to drink the cup that I am about to drink?" They said to him, "We are able." He said to them, "My cup you shall drink, but to sit on my right and on my left, this is not mine to give, but it is for those for whom it has been prepared by my Father." Well, many have tended with the other 10 apostles to enter into a spirit of, disagreement with, or an attitude of hostility towards the mother of James and John here from this story, Mrs. Zebedee. Because of her request, she came to Jesus and her sons came with her, and they, with the mother present, heard her ask Jesus for this special treatment. Now that's not uncommon. I've made special requests for my kids over the years. I have found them summer jobs by making a phone call or talking to someone. That's not uncommon. Almost every year, it happened this past week, someone called me and said, "Can my daughter work at Beulah this summer?" I passed them on to the right person to ask. But we already have a summer student that works with me, but in housekeeping, they might use someone else. So it's not unusual that those requests that come. This is a pretty big request. This isn't a summer job. This is like an eternal occupation. May my sons, James and John, Jesus, please sit with you. When you're on your throne, one can be right on your left, and one can be right on your right, and they'll be your left-hand man, they'll be your right-hand man, and they'll be very, very important in the kingdom. There can't be any higher place in the kingdom than to sit right beside the king, one on one side and one on the other. So it was an interesting request that meets with some opposition from the other 10 apostles, and maybe by many, many people throughout the centuries. But it's significant to note that while Jesus, he does not berate her, he doesn't berate or criticize her, he doesn't condemn her. Maybe he corrects her, he steers her thinking in the right direction, but we all need that from time to time. But it'd be nice to remember that she's only human. She is a mother. She loves her sons. She's not divine. She's just as imperfect as any other person. But let's just try to put aside any of the negative things that we might derive from this story. And probably could be some. And let's try to focus on some positive things that we can see from Mrs. Zebedee, from the story here, and the request that she makes of Jesus. These things that we pick up from what she did maybe would be helpful for us, for the mothers, maybe for all of us this morning in this scripture lesson. We don't know her name. Her name might have been Mary. Her name might have been Salome. It's possible because there's some things about her that are interesting and connect with the life of Jesus and at the cross of Jesus. And then some names that are associated with the women who are there at the cross and at the resurrection tomb, that she might be either Mary or Salome. Mrs. Zebedee was very aware of the teaching of Jesus. She was a follower of Jesus. She was also aware of the fact that James and John, her sons, were very close to Jesus. They formed the inner circle, along with Peter, of the three, Peter, James, and John, that seemed to get a little extra special attention from Jesus, like on the Mount of Transfiguration and some other instances. She was certain that when the Lord formed his kingdom, that he would want them to have positions of responsibility and authority, and so she comes to him to make this request and sort of nail it down to be something that would be certain. maybe some things that Jesus said, maybe the first part of this chapter was a story that might have disturbed her. Maybe she heard Jesus tell the parable of the man who needed some workers in his vineyard. And so very early in the morning, he hires some workers that go to the vineyard to work. And then about noontime, halfway through the day, he hires some more workers. And they go out in the vineyard and they work alongside of those who've been working since very early, maybe even dawn of that day. And then towards the last part of the day, maybe supper time, he hires some more workers to go out and work with those who've been working from noontime and also those who've been working since the very beginning of the day. So they have three different stages of workers. Some that at the end of the day might have worked 8 hours, some 4 hours, and maybe some 1 hour. And then when he comes to pay them all at the end of the day, he pays them all the same amount of money. Now, I wouldn't do that. Maybe you would do that, but I wouldn't do that. I would pay the people who work half the day half as much as those who work the full day. And if they worked only 1 hour, I'd only give them a portion of those who work the whole day. See, I'm a little stingy with my money, aren't I, Roxy? No comment. But I wouldn't do that. It doesn't seem fair to me to pay people who came to work at 4 o'clock the same as those who came to work at 12 or at 8 or 7 in the morning. But Jesus says the worker, the owner of the vineyard, paid all the workers the same, whether they worked 1 hour, 4, 8, or 10, however many hours they worked, they all get paid the same amount of money. And so Mrs. Zebedee might have heard that story and thought, maybe there'll be somebody come along later now and become followers of Jesus, and he'll pick them to be important in the kingdom on the left and on the right, and not my sons who have been there with him from the very beginning. After all, when he started his ministry 3 years ago or so, he picked my sons to be with him, and they've been walking and going and working and laboring with him all of these years, and it wouldn't be fair for them to be passed over for other people who haven't been as close to or worked as long with Jesus. And so, when the opportunity presents itself, she comes and she says, when you establish a kingdom, Jesus, would it be possible? I'd like to ask that my sons sit on your left and on your right. Well, we can criticize Mrs. Zebedee for her presumptuousness, but some good things. First of all, she prayed that her sons might be part of the kingdom. She wanted her sons to be there with him, to work along with him, alongside, and to be part of the kingdom's work. And whereas Jesus did not grant it, he didn't deny it, he simply reminded her of the cost of being seated on the left and on the right, and let her know that it was the Father in heaven who makes those decisions. I can think of no more important task for motherhood than to seek to ensure and to help it happen that in every way possible your children become part of the kingdom of God. And without a doubt, there are many here this morning, I'm sure, myself included, that we are part of the kingdom and followers of Christ because of the influence and the prayers of our mothers. I know that for a fact for me, because my mother told me. She prayed for us to serve the Lord. She prayed and asked God that one of her sons would be a minister. And so she got that with myself and also with my brother Jason. A Sunday school teacher asked her pupils, "Now, children, do you all say your prayers at night?" And one little boy said, "My mommy says my prayers at night for me." "Oh," the teacher said, "and what does your mother pray?" "Oh, she puts me in bed, and then she prays and says, 'Thank God he's in bed.'" I saw that. Oh, that's cute. Sometimes mothers pray out of necessity. Sometimes they pray because motherhood is not easy, but extremely difficult. And sometimes mothers just pray out of the frustration of it all. And sometimes in the frustration of trying to teach our children to realize the difficulties even in communication. Being a parent's not easy. Being a mother's quite difficult. Sometimes your days are filled with joy, and some days your days are filled with sadness, aren't they? Sometimes your children make you so proud that you just pop your buttons. And some days you can't find enough handkerchiefs or Kleenex to dry your tears. Being a parent's not easy, it's difficult, but Mrs. Zebedee gives us a valuable example where she prayed earnestly. She asked the Lord if it wouldn't be possible for her sons to be tremendously involved in the work of the kingdom. Right at his side. And we need that same concern, and that same prayer, and that same hope, and that same dream for our children. And I hope that in the heart of every mother here this morning, and every father here this morning, there's a burden in your heart to go to the throne of God. To go to the throne of God daily for your children. To pray that they'll personally know Jesus Christ as their Savior and be saved. And that's the place to begin in our prayers. That's the most important thing. For what good would it be if they were so successful in life that they just had everything the world could offer, gained the whole world, but lost their own soul? What could be any more important than your son, your daughter, and beyond that, your in-law kids and your grandkids serving the Lord? Rox and I pray for our family every night, and we're still praying for one of them to come into the kingdom. Well, Mrs. Zebedee did. She wanted her boys to be part of the kingdom work, part of the kingdom thrust, and right beside Jesus. And she prayed that her sons would be involved in the work of the kingdom. Not just part of it, not just inside it, but actively involved in the work of the kingdom. Not just enough to be saved. Enough people are content, too many people are content to be just saved, to be just here or there or in a church somewhere, even this one, just sitting around, not doing much. This is something that everyone can do, and it's good for everyone to do something. And where's all that service spirit begin? It begins at home. It's modeled by moms and dads who are involved in doing things and being teachers and leaders and disciplers and involved in the work of the kingdom in one way or another, at least something, helping in one way or another. Mrs. Zebedee prayed that her children would be actively involved in the work of the kingdom, and we need to follow, we all, mothers and fathers, following in her footsteps. She had a warm love for Jesus. She had a deep love for him, which showed itself at a critical time when he was at the cross, going to the cross, and upon the cross. Matthew 27 says, and many women were there beholding him far off, which followed Jesus from Galilee, ministering unto him, among which was Mary Magdalene, and Mary, the mother of James and Joses, and the mother of Zebedee's children. And so this lady that we're talking about this morning, Mrs. Zebedee, whatever her name was, she was there, the mother of Zebedee's children. Her faith and warm love were manifested even at the tomb as it was beginning to dawn that first day of the first week. She had big expectations. She had a great faith in Jesus Christ. She had a faith so large that she dared to ask big. Ask and request that her sons be part of the kingdom's work, one on the left, one on the right. She had high expectations, and she believed that they could be trusted, that they were capable. And I don't know of any more important gift to instill in your children's lives than a spirit of confidence, and that they're worthwhile. They have a place in the home, in life and in the kingdom, and that they can accomplish something by believing in themselves and trusting the Lord, and that they can dare to dream big themselves and to envision great things that they can do, not only in their own personal lives, but in the life and the work of the kingdom, of the church. She had these big expectations, and I like that. I like that part of it. I know it's a bit presumptuous to go and ask Jesus, can my two sons be at the highest level in your kingdom? But I like the fact, at least, that she had big expectations. She dreamt for her kids. She instilled confidence in her kids. There must have been something that she did right, for Jesus saw in them something that he could take and use and mold and fashion, that they could be 2 of the 12 disciples, apostles, that he would travel with, and that would carry the work of the kingdom even after he was gone. I admire her boldness. No mediocrity there. No just sitting back, being content and laissez-faire. She wanted good things, excellent things for her boys. Well, a mother's love is a love that goes through even the valley of the shadow of death. I've been present at a couple of birthing times, and it's amazing and tremendous what happens with a mother when they're giving birth. It's as if they're dying, as if they maybe think they're dying, maybe they want to die, but they go through quite the ordeal. It's like going through the valley of the shadow of death, and then the cry of the baby, and then the smile of the mother. Little John was placed upon Heidi's chest, and she said, "I can't believe you're finally here." She had about 10 days of difficulty with some false labor. And that was a very tender and wonderful moment. And your mothers have been through that. God bless you. Excuse me. There's a story told out of World War II. It's a true story. It's a story of Solomon Rosenberg and his family. His mother, his father, his wife, and 2 sons. A Jewish family, all captured by the Germans and sent to a concentration camp. It was a labor camp. The rules were simple. As long as you can do your work, you are permitted to live. But when you can no longer do your work, then you will be exterminated. Solomon Rosenberg watched his mother and father, who could no longer do their work because they were old and frail and feeble and weak, and they were marched off to the gas chamber. And he knew that the next one would be his son David, because he was small and he was weak. And he had been a frail child. And every evening, Solomon Rosenberg came back to the barracks from his place of work, and he would look for his family, his wife, and his 2 children. And when he would find them, they would huddle together and embrace and thank God that he had helped them through another day. One day, Solomon Rosenberg came home, back to the barracks, and he didn't find his family. But he saw finally over the corner his son Joshua, and he was crying. And he goes over and says, "Josh, tell me it's not true." "Oh, Papa," he says, "they came for David. They came for David," and he began to cry. "And where's your mother?" Well, when David began to cry, his mother said, "It's okay. I'll go with you." And she took him by the hand. and she went with it. It's a true story. That is motherhood. To the supreme. To the supreme. You know, I can remember when I was a little boy. I don't know why I remember this. But I can remember at the kitchen table, we had fruit salad for dessert. And there was always a cherry in the fruit salad. And I love the cherry fruit salad. And my mother knew I loved the cherry fruit salad. So, I don't have to tell you what she did, right? She took her spoon, and she took her cherry out of her fruit salad, and she put it over, and then I had 2 cherries in my fruit salad. Now, isn't that a strange thing to remember? That's been 58 years ago or so, maybe. But I still remember doing that. A very simple thing. That's a simple thing. And what this lady did in the story from World War II in the concentration camp, that's not a simple thing. That's a huge thing. But for her, on that day, it was a simple thing. Her son was crying. Her son was afraid. Little David, frail child. She takes him by the hand and goes with him to the concentration camp, thinking that her son, Joshua, would then be taken care of by her husband, Joshua's family. So, well, ladies, God bless you today. You've been sacrificing for your children in one way or another, too. Through the years, you've done things. And you've had Jesus extend his hand to you, as this lady did extend her hand to her son David. You've been sacrificing. You know the problems. You know the situations. You've got your stories like I've got mine and like others have theirs. And may Jesus be precious to you today. May the Lord Jesus Christ come alongside you and help you. Some of you are here with your mother today. Some of you, like me, don't have a mother to call or to email or to take a picture of and be with today. Some of you today are mothers, and some of you have lost children. You know what it is to be preceded in death by your own child. And that's not supposed to happen. You're supposed to grow old and pass away, and then your children outlive you. And that doesn't always happen. May God give you grace and help today through all of these situations of life. And for those of you who still have your mother with you, tell her you love her. Give her a right in the front of you. Call her on the phone. Make sure she knows today that you've been thinking of her. So thank you, Lord, as the worship team comes. Thank you. Thank you for mothers today. Thank you for their life, their love, their sacrifice, and for what they mean in our lives and in our church, in our world, in our country. We thank you for the influence, positive and great and beautiful. We thank you today. In Christ's name, amen. Worship team is here. We're going to sing. We'll pray again at the end probably. And as you leave the sanctuary this morning, some of the children will be out there and they'll have a little gift for all the mothers this morning.
I heard time finding the Mother's Day song. This one ties in real well. Power of your love. And it speaks about God and His love for us. I think it can also be the mother's love for the child. Let's sing Power of Your Love. Sing it.
Situation will come our way this week.